I'm Jess.
I'm Scotty.
And I'm your host, Dawson. And you're watching
On the Clock.
He had 3 touchdowns. Well, there, I think 6 of these. Yeah. And so if you're bottom,
Wichita State, we won the past week.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a NFL edition of On the Clock. Today we are going to be talking about Wildcard Weekend and everything that went down. We had 2 technical upsets, a third that you can't really count because they were the higher seed, but it was very interesting. So our first game, Seahawks 49ers. 49ers won 43-23. What were your thoughts on Brock Purdy?
Brock Purdy with 332 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. His stats made it look like he had a really good, He played well, but I think the stats made him look a little better. Not taking anything away from him, he's played really well. He still hasn't lost, and I mean, if he loses one of these next games, it's going to be a big deal because they're done. But it's going to be a really interesting situation next year. If he goes to the NFC Championship or even the Super Bowl and wins the Super Bowl, you're letting Jimmy Garoppolo walk. Are you trading Trey Lance? Are you sitting him out? Because I don't think you just replace him.
No.
I don't think that's something you can do.
I have to play Brock Purdy.
Yeah, okay, so the big 3, Brock Purdy, CMC, Debo. Debo had 6 receptions for 33 yards and a touchdown, 32 rushing yards. Christian McCaffrey, I think you drafted him in Browning's league.
I think so, yeah. He had 15 carries for 119 yards, almost like 9 yards on average. So, I mean, did he have a touchdown?
I don't think he did.
I don't know, but yeah, I mean, Brock Purdy played really well. Everyone else around him kind of helped him out a little bit. Couple deep balls at touchdowns. Debo one kind of helped him in his yards, so yeah.
Yeah, and the defense stepped up, only allowing 23 points, which is pretty solid. It's one of the lower, the only 2 teams to not score more than them are the Ravens and Bucks, which everybody knew they were going to lose. So moving on to the really, I guess, big shocker game would be the Chargers and Jags. The Chargers were up 27-0. Lawrence threw 4 picks that game. It was
all in the first.
Yeah, but he ended up with four touchdowns to kind of even out his ratio. But he pulled out the win, 31-30. Yeah, what did you think?
I mean, it was a good comeback from the Jags. I mean, I was talking to my dad a little bit before, and I mean, I kind of wanted the Jags to win. And after seeing the first half, I was like, I don't think it's happening. But watching the second half, I mean, Trevor Lawrence looks like he can make it a couple more games. If he plays like that. Not the first half part, but
the second half.
He was on pace to get, I think, up to 300, 350 yards. If he did the same thing in the first half, I mean, that man was electric. And ETN had 109 rushing and 12 receivings against a pretty weak Chargers run D. So that was an exciting game.
Yeah, I like the Jags winning because I feel like the Chiefs stand a lot better chance of beating them for a second time this season rather than the Chargers for a third. I still think we could have pulled out a win against the Chargers. That game just scares me a lot more than the Jags do. I'm not saying the Jags aren't a good team, but that's definitely it's going to be a battle.
Doesn't help when your head coach plays Mike Williams against the
Broncos? They played the Broncos that week, yeah. Okay, so Dolphins 31, Bills 34. The Bills D gave up 31 points last week. That's their second most allowed on the year. Mike McDaniels, what a guy. There's a clip surfacing about him. I don't know if we can say what he was doing, but just look up Mike McDaniels' sideline video. He drew up some good plays. He got Skyler good looks. The receivers kind of dropped a couple balls, but I think Tyreek had 7 receptions, and then the next most was some guy. I didn't recognize his name, but he had 4.
It's like Salva or whatever.
Yeah, but they played well. They battled. I think if they would have had Tua, this could be a different story. We could be talking about the biggest upset. I mean, I guess of the Wildcard Weekend. But any other thoughts on that game?
I feel like that game, the second half was really the big turnaround, especially on that fumble that was taken back in the
that was huge, yeah.
That really turned the game. I think it made it 24-17.
Yeah, they had the lead. They had the lead after that.
So it made it really turn and shift, and then the game started going back and forth with the 2 teams until the Bills pulled away by 10.
Yeah, Allen had 2 picks and a fumble, if I'm not mistaken.
I saw some about
he has the most, I think, in the NFL history, 2 pick games this season, playoffs included, and he's only played 1 playoff game.
There's some about 10-point underdogs for rookies. They've never won it. It was him and then Brock Purdy one game, I think. So.
Yeah, but Skyler, I thought, played well. He's not going to be a starter next year. He'll get a deal somewhere, though. I don't know if he'll stay in Miami, but, I kind of see him as a solid backup anywhere he goes. And then Giants-Vikings. Wow, 31-24. Sorry, Trayton. I know that stinks. But, hey, none of our guys got eliminated in Glenny's league, so that's a plus. You got someone to root for still. So how did Danny Dimes and the boys look?
I didn't get to watch most of it, but I saw one clip, and Danny Dimes, I think, was throwing to like Slayton or something, pretty big play. So he was connecting to his receivers, and I know Saquon had a huge run. I think it was probably one of the first or few plays in the first part of the game. So the Giants overall team, they're getting there. So it was a good game.
Yeah, I feel like this offseason the Vikings are really going to focus, especially in the draft and in free agency, on defense. I feel like after this year, I don't want to say it's kind of like the Chiefs a few years ago when they had that really good offense and kind of
a mid-defense,
defense. I think they really need to focus on getting young players in on that defense because it's a little older right now.
Yeah, and your quarterback room's getting older. I think Kirk's probably still the guy there next year, but long term, I don't know, maybe do you trade a couple late round picks for Jordan Love to develop that guy, maybe to take over for Kirk, or do you wait and risk getting a guy in the draft while you still have Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook entering the later primes?
Yeah.
So that's going to be a situation you're going to want to keep an eye on this year because they were the 2 seed, but that doesn't mean much when you lose in the wild card. Another close game, Ravens-Bengals. Bengals pulled this one out. Could have been a little different if they had Lamar, but Joe Burrow threw for 209 yards and a touchdown. Jamar had 9 receptions for 84 and a touchdown. That being said, even though Lamar was out, Huntley, box score-wise, looked like he played pretty solid. I didn't see the game. Did either of you guys?
I saw parts of it, but I wasn't able to see a whole lot, just basketball. But I saw parts of it, and I really think the Bengals didn't look as hot as they have been. But, it's the playoffs, so you're going to get these teams. Most of them have solid defenses that you have to go up against. And but I think this next game against the Bills, they're really going to step it up. They kind of have to, especially with the receiving core they have. I think the Bengals are probably one of the scariest teams for the Bills to play.
Yes, for sure.
So I think they come out of this game and play even better next week.
And then Cowboys-Buccaneers. Bucks, Tom Brady and the boys drop it, 14-31. Dak had 5 total touchdowns. That was sweet in Linnemeyer's league. That little boot play was pretty cool. It reminded me of that one Peyton Manning play against Cowboys.
Did you see that?
Yeah, you know the one I was talking about. Yeah, but. I don't have much to say about this game. Do either of you guys?
Tom Brady's now 7-1 against the Cowboys. I was kind of just going off recent play. I picked the Bucs kind of win. It's Tom Brady in the playoffs, so he's 7-0 before this game, so I was picking them. But Cowboys really showed out, so this will be. I feel Cowboys play 49ers, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I feel like that'll be a really good game, really good test for Brock Purdy, see if he can go up against this tough Cowboys defense.
Head-to-head with one of the better quarterbacks in the league in Dak. So where do we think Tom Brady's going to stay in Tampa Bay? Do we think he's going to go to New York or Oakland or Minnesota, somewhere crazy like that?
I think he goes somewhere else. I don't know where, really. But I don't think he stays with Tampa. I think they're too old there, and I feel like the team's very slow and certain to age, and I feel like they don't have much young pieces there.
Yeah, the teams that are coming to mind for me are possibly a New Orleans or a Giants, or not really the Ravens because outside of Lamar they don't have much, and they'd have to change their whole system because Brady's not really that rushing threat. But
I saw some that said the average age in the playoffs, and you have guys like just Sky Thompson and Brock Purdy bringing that age down, yet it's still at 30, 31 years old.
Yeah, because of him. Mahomes was the oldest starting quarterback in the AFC, and he's 27. That's nuts. Okay, so the stage is set. We've kind of mentioned each of these a little bit. We got Chiefs and Jags in Arrowhead. It should be a fun game, rematch of a earlier regular season matchup. Chiefs pulled that one out, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And then we got Bengals at Bills. a rematch. And then Giants at Eagles, and then 49ers will host the Cowboys. I think of those, the two games that I would like to watch the most will be the Bengals-Bills and Giants-Eagles. I feel like the Giants are going to need the Eagles to run for their money. This is going to be a real test for Jalen Hurts. And then the Bengals-Bills, that's going to be a good game. That one's going to entertain, whether that's a defensive battle, which I don't see it being. I see this being a 45-48 game off of a game-winning field goal by Evan McPherson. But I don't know which of those two teams I'd rather see the Chiefs play if we beat the Jags. We saw.
I want the Bengals. I want to say Bengals, but at the same
I feel
time,
like we have a better chance of beating the Bills.
Yeah.
The Bengals are insanely scary. I don't think we have a corner that can consistently match up with their top three guys. You know, we have Snead, McDuffie, and then is Watson?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I would rather see the Bills because they have Diggs, Gabe, and McKenzie. And I feel like their O-lines are probably about equal. But is that all we got for today? All right, so we will be back tomorrow with a K-State KU basketball reaction. They play tonight at 6 o'clock in the Octagon of Doom, so that should be fun. WSU plays tonight, so we'll touch a little bit on that too. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.